Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope y'all are doing well and enjoying your day so far, with more roster announcements expected over these coming days. Lots of discussion on what they could potentially be, but also Gunless after joining Los Angeles Guerrillas, calling out swathes of his former teammates, but also 95% of the entirety of the CDL. Very much intrigued to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. I really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this from Afro, lots of discussion between Afro and Zero these last several days, talking about this, as you can see right here, but also they've been playing some Black Ops 2 tourneys with Nasty, Gizmo, these types of fellas, and well, it seems increasingly likely that will be the 4-man London squad whenever they do decide to confirm it over these coming days. I well imagine good Los Angeles Thieves seem on the border of also making some sort of move, as Octane says pretty excited about the potential of the STG meta. We looked at that last night, that could be a particularly potent weapon in this upcoming Call of Duty Vanguard title. Well, Octane also tweets this out, right? He does the whole signing thing, and well, seems like it may finally get locked in. From September the 5th, it's been a possibility that players can get signed. Seems like the teams are either taking their time, and some of the announcements have already happened, and we'll look at Minnesota Rokkr here in just a second. Kenny comes back and says, this was supposed to be the year, chalked. Good luck, kids. You know, nigh on confirming that this is going to be the case, that we're going to Octane and Kenny reuniting over at Los Angeles Thieves, rumoured to be joining Drazah and Envoy over there in another very exciting lineup, and that, well, when we have to do power rankings for these preseason, it's going to be pretty exciting stuff. Minnesota Rokkr are confirming their squad later today, 4 PM Central Time, they say. That's when their roster is officially going to be confirmed. Now, we imagine it's just going to be the same as last season, attach MajorManiak, Priestahh and Standy, but they're going to do like a press conference or whatever, talking about the situation. This is certainly the team that I would fear most, that falls off most significantly from where they were, because it seems to me a lot of other teams are accelerating past them right now with some of the pickups they have made, and still the respawn was a bit questionable for this team, but they did win the Stage 5 majors. You can't take that away from them, but I fear that maybe some opportunities to upgrade this offseason have passed them by, even though you couldn't really easily say what roster changes they should have made, if they should have made any at all. This also from Simp, finna go out real quick, be right back. Not sure even what this could refer to, but of course rumoured right now to be joining the Seattle Surge alongside Mac, Pred and Accuracy for the upcoming season. So something to keep your eyes into. A lot of moves that are just about happening or just about to get confirmed and stuff like this that certainly are worth keeping an eye on. But this from Prestinni, right, on Seattle Surge last year, so lost, he says. Difficult to know what Prestinni's going to do. I wouldn't be surprised to see him find a spot in a Chicago or a Paris, whatever they want to do there. Maybe as a substitute somewhere as well, it could be an opportunity, but just difficult to see a player like Prestinni, who, you know, won the World Championship in 2019, not too long ago, now finding himself in a really difficult spot to actually get a starting spot in the CDL. That's just how things go. We'll talk about it a little bit about expansion later today, and how that could help a guy like Prestinni, to be honest, in the future. But it's tough to say. Holly says this as well, Karma's wife, can someone talk David into competing again, please and thank you. She's been talking about this for like a year or so now, you know, over a year really, since he retired, and well, maybe he'll come back at some point or another, but we believe the opportunities were there last season, and well, it didn't decide to go down that route, of course. So this is what Los Angeles Guerrillas are looking like at their present time. Big P joins them. I like these kind of graphics they do. Piers, Gunners, Hillman, Flex, 23 years old, 6-time Call of Duty Major Champion, 4-time tournament MVP. Pretty ridiculous, actually, the fact that Gunners, like, a load of the tourneys he's won, he's been the MVP at. That just goes to show, like, what type of player this guy can be when he's firing in all cylinders. 1.01 overall KD this year, but in previous years, especially when he's had those MVP trophies, it's been a lot greater than that. So of course we know what Gunless can do. If you guys have only been around a couple of years in the scene, you won't have seen like the kind of peak Gunless that we saw back in Infinite Warfare, partially in World War II as well, when he was teaming with teammates that he would well argue, we'll look at it in a second, actually like, well, put a lot of effort into trying to win and putting the hours into grind, trying to be the best team in the game, not just chalking it up because you can't beat FaZe, and that seems to be what he's indicating has happened these last couple of years, especially this season on Seattle Surge, but also, you know, on previous seasons that he's been alongside as well. Now maybe there's 1 or 2 players thrown in there that he's teamed with these last 2-3 years that he feels like actually, yeah, were maybe reasonable teammates, but Gunless has always been the guy, like, he wants to win at all cost. He doesn't want to have to deal with teammates that aren't particularly, well, you know, putting in the grind to actually do that, and well, maybe that's affecting his own individual performance and motivation as well, even though he seems to be a lot more mature character than, well, this season than he has been in previous seasons, where teams tend to implode after doing well with Gunless early on, and then when things start to fall apart. So this was the clip that came out on the flank last night. Very interesting, to be honest. Gunless is talking for about 50 seconds here on well, the situation with his past couple of years, not just this previous season on Seattle Surge, not just the season before that on the Chicago Huntsman, but even the season before that on Team Envy for a time during Black Ops 4. That's maybe what he's talking about right here, calling out pretty much all of these players, saying, look, they didn't want to win as much as me, they weren't putting in the time that they needed to be, and also 95% of the entire league basically just chalk things up when they can't beat FaZe.
Do you guys have the group chat made and everything? You know, you guys ready to go? I feel like that's like the best. That's the best feeling ever.
All that stuff is definitely done. I'm really excited to be with our team and the people that actually put in the time and the effort. Personally speaking, I haven't had that for the past 2-3 years.
Jesus Christ.
And I need that as a player to actually perform well and actually be good. I feel like 95% of the league right now doesn't put in any extra time whatsoever and put in the time and dedication to actually try to become the best in the game. It's kind of like everyone has this weird chalk mindset because they look at FaZe and they're just like, all right, like, I guess, like, what, we can't beat this team or something like that? And I feel like that's just super weird.
Yeah, you got to put in the time. You have to. If you're with a team that you feel like is just slacking or isn't putting in the extra work.
So, of course, these are the players he's teamed with last season. We saw in Cold War. This, of course, is just online or offline events, sorry. But you kind of get the picture. Octane, Gunless, Prestinni, and Classic, of course, Loony it was early on in the season for a time. So, maybe saying all of these guys, how much time were they putting in? Were they kind of just chalking it up? It was a frustrating experience to be on that team. And then even the season before, that's kind of interesting, really, especially because Formal retired this year, and Formal's been talking about how, you know, putting in the time was a little bit difficult and wasn't really super motivated as he has been in previous years. So Gunless effectively saying, yes, look, when I was teaming on Chicago Huntsmen in Modern Warfare, like, they kind of fall in the same category of not putting in the time that I would like to see. It's got to be said at the same time, though, that it's not just about putting in, like, 18-hour days of Call of Duty, it's about putting in quality practice. You want to get, like, I'm pretty sure if most teams could get, like, 4 hours of quality, concentrated practice every day, they'd be like way better than the rest of the league. If you can do that, then put in all the other additional time you want to put in, that's absolutely fine. But it's good, I guess, to focus on actually getting the concentrated core practice where everyone's there, everyone's focused, everyone's trying to, you know, focus up and improve. And that's, I think, what maybe separated Toronto, for example, this season. Like, it seemed like when they practiced, like, they were very much, and FaZe as well to a similar degree, they were very much on the ball. They're very much focusing on things that they can improve on, not just playing the game mindlessly and kind of going through the motions in that sense. So I'm sure, like, Gunless is a player that understands this, but at the same time, like, it's not just about putting in those crazy amounts of hours, it's also about having teammates that understand what they need to do next year. So of course, we see in previous seasons, I just thought I'd show way back to the Rise Nation days of 2018, because this was kind of the squad that he had his most success on in Call of Duty history, alongside Loony, TJHaLy, and it was Methods for a time. Then it was Slasher when they won Anaheim and Seattle with that team, and were the best team in the game, no doubt, for a time. Nearly won Stage 2 playoffs as well, and then fell short dramatically so at the World Championship that year, and of course the squad split up after that. But yeah, Slasher and Gunless now back together here on this, well, Los Angeles Guerrilla squad for the upcoming season, and that's what he seems to be particularly excited about, because these guys he's got as his teammates, not only do they have a fair bit to prove, but it's also a lot, they also are very much willing to put in the time. Like, Slasher is known as one of the biggest grinders. He loves, getting on and playing 8s and stuff like this, and trying to do his best to actually, take home championships, and Gunless is in a very similar boat. I think they're going to relish, the opportunity to play with each other again. It's very exciting to see the possibilities here, because if Gunless is saying, yes, look, pretty much the entirety of the league, they don't put the time in that they should be if they actually want to win this thing, and especially with FaZe looking as good as they did this past season. Like, going into last year, we expected the competition, honestly, to be better than it was in the end. Like, FaZe were the best team, no doubt. Then there was Toronto, a clear-cut second, and then after that, it was kind of a bit of a mess, and the bottom four were just absolutely terrible. So Gunless finds himself out of there this year, maybe, at least on one of the teams with a chance, right? Like, there's several teams right now that could be, like, I guess FaZe are going to be number one in everyone's power rankings, and after that, maybe you've got to put Ultra second, but after that, like, there's so many teams right now, at least of these rumored rosters, that could go pretty much anywhere in those power rankings and could end up wherever, and I think Los Angeles Guerrillas is one of them, with Huke and Asim rounding out the team. If you guys missed the announcement just a couple of days ago, but Slasher and I mean, as you can see right here, 27 years old, World Championship back in 2016, 7-time COD Major Champion, one of the best assault rifles to ever do it in Call of Duty history. And then this from Huke as well, Huke the Nuke, he's only 21 years old, like, that's just absolutely incredible to me, to be honest. Like, he's younger than me, I don't understand this guy. Of course, he won the World Championship last year in 2020, and it seems another player, like, with a lot to prove, and, well, obviously going to put in a lot of time as well to try and make that happen, which is the type of teammates that Gunless is going to be happy about. And if they can form a good culture around that on the team, I think that they can be a very deadly squad going forwards. But yeah, still interesting, right? Like, 95% of this league just said, they lose to FaZe, and they're like, okay, we just chalk it up. There's no way we're going to beat them, so let's just play for second place effectively. effectively. Not the mindset that you've got to have if you're actually going to try and win the entire thing. Maybe one of the reasons why we saw the competition for especially some of the teams this season not be where it should be, because people just kind of chalk it up after Simp and aBeZy running circles around them on a Garrison hardpoint, for example. Wanted to talk about this as well because it was pretty funny. This well, from the Scump Gaming right here. Call of Duty League season ended a few weeks ago. WrestleMania is underway. The player you screenshot is who you're building your team around. I paused it earlier and got Doug into Martin, so I thought I'd stick on that. We'll do it another time and get out of assault, baby. Let's go one more. And okay, it's a scene right on the Los Angeles Grillers. So anyway, these are the guys I'm going to build around for next year. But it's kind of funny because Scump screenshotted this and Nade was one of them, like HBR Nade from way back in the day. And this comes back from Nade in reply. You haven't won back-to-back events, 3 consecutive in a row, since you teamed with me. Think about it, I guess way back in the day in Advanced Warfare right at the start. He also got a ring, Mickey Mouse ring. He won arguably on the worst Call of Duty of all time, that being of course 2017 in Infinite Warfare. Quad XP in 2011 was more impressive. He needs me. I'll come back nicely if he asks. So of course Nade won Quad XP on OpTic in 2011 when Scump was not on the team at that time because I think he was doing content and stuff like this. Them Heartbeat Center plays that went crazy for sure because Quad XP 2011 was on Modern Warfare 3 before the game had even come out, and they were just using Heartbeat Center and all sorts of crazy stuff in the game. Probably a little bit more of a Mickey Mouse ring, you could argue, that game than the 2017 Call of Duty World Championship, but a funny thread on this regardless. This also that a couple of people were noticing Dallas Empire did a video when they were kind of doing their, well, documentary type stuff at the most recent World Championship, and again see Dashy and ILLey right here behind the stage kind of giving each other the fist bump ahead of their matches. Seems to be a duo that will be returning this year from the Search and Destroy dominance they've showed for many years on the Search and Destroy scene, but now alongside the same team of each other, and just thought this is pretty interesting from well, Edgar Allan Bones, rumoured rich guy Codbird and this type of stuff, talking about a player that went from a 2020 valuation of only $60,000, 2021 being $100K, and now is getting paid $500,000. I think the reply of CleanX here is pretty good. I'm not sure who you guys think else this could be, because well, in the league for 3 years in a row is already pretty rare. What player was coming in pretty much at the lowest minimum possible salary? 60K might make sense for CleanX because he was on the bench there at Toronto Ultra Season 1. Then last year he was in the starting team, maybe they paid him a bit more up to 100K, and now this year he shopped his options around, and a lot of other teams might have been interested in CleanX, and now they're absolutely pumped his salary to the moon. But of course it could be someone else, and we could be really into this, but I thought it was still pretty interesting regardless. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube bucket, and if you enjoy this content, I'd be like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.